Well, hello, friends, and welcome to the Healthy Christian Leader. I'm Dwight Habermehl, and I have our guest today, Dr. Seidel Abel Boanerges. He's an Indian-born British Baptist minister, practical theologian, educator, and church leader whose ministries span India and the United Kingdom and Canada. Seidel, it's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, so we've got a really exciting topic to talk about today, and we're going to talking about a very practical item, leading change without triggering division. It's amazing how, change is challenging.
Oh, yes.
And sometimes it's not easy to navigate. But before we get into this very relevant topic, Seidel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background for the new friends that have joined us here on the Healthy Christian Leader?
Sure. I'm a Baptist minister and practical theologian, currently now working at Acadia Divinity College as their newest faculty member. Maybe I'm not that new because I just finished a year at Acadia. So previously I used to be the Dean of Ministerial Formation at Spurgeon's College in London, England, the college founded by Charles Spurgeon himself. I did my theological education there, my master's and doctorate, and then joined the faculty there. So that was one of my roles. I had another role with the British Baptist Union as the chair of the National Council, which was a great blessing and quite a challenge with the changes that we are seeing generally in society and culture. But those were my last two main roles back in the UK.
So you bring a lot of experience and journey to this kind of topic in leadership.
Yes, and practically I have worked in smaller churches, introducing change and the challenges that I've experienced for myself, but also for the last 10 years, teaching this in training ministerial students and also mentoring the newly accredited ministerial students who go through the same challenges as I once went through. So really excited to share some of those experiences with you today.
Well, maybe we can start right there. Can you share an example of a church that was introduced to change in a way that felt steady and well received?
Sure. One that comes to my mind is a church wanted to change their worship schedule and some of their other ministries as well. And they could have, made the change and just let people know. But this particular church leadership, they did something differently. They chose a better path. They shepherded the process rather than just making the change. Now, they did a few things which are worth noting. Now, they began with mission, which is always a good thing, rather than this is what needs to change, this is how we are changing. They began with mission.
So they began a conversation about mission, then talking about mission?
Absolutely. They situated that change, whatever is happening, in their calling as a missional church, which was beautiful. So they started with mission, and they also mentioned what is not changing. Right. Which I think is quite important.
Yeah, no, that's very good. That's like an assurance of, we're not becoming something totally different.
Absolutely.
We're sharpening our mission output.
Yeah, and they mentioned what's not changing, such as scripture, general worship. Right. They are not changing. And then they put that change in the context of mission, and as they were doing, they did something else quite well, which was that they did not speak of the past with contempt. So
that was kind of a ground rule in the transition.
Yes. I mean, these are like great best practices that other churches can learn.
What kind of negative impacts happen in the church when you criticize the past?
In the leader's mind, it might be, this is not working. We can't continue like this for a long time. What that communicates is completely different. The emotional weight of that language, what our members hear, is different, because for them, the past is what shaped them. The past is what shaped their spirituality, who they are, their relationships, their prayer life, their love for one another. And if someone condemns the past, it's like condemning who they are. So people can cope with change. One, if we are sensitive about the past, we celebrate the past. Memory is a great thing. Memory can become idolatry, but memory is a great thing if it can be used well. So speaking about the past with respect and acknowledge how it has shaped us and why some of the change must take place is some of the things that we need to go through with churches today.
Well, it acknowledges too that God was at work in the past, and that God is at work today.
Yes.
Reaching people as the culture changes and shifts.
Yes, and that acknowledgement is very important, because people need to feel that they are listened to, that they're cared for, and their past that shaped them is acknowledged. So those are quite important. Now, one of the things that I just mentioned was about telling them what is not changing, and what is changing is important, because I believe if people know what is being protected, they can cope with that change much better. Because if we do not do that, then they have no clue what's going to change.
Yeah, they have no idea, what it looks like at all, and the value things, the things that are valued are being, preserved.
Yes, and by the time for this particular church, when the time came for the change, no one felt ambushed or rushed or deceived. They might not have agreed with the decision, but they could still say we were led honestly. So it is a church decision that we made. It might not be my preference, but the church came together, we discerned the mind of Christ, and we took this decision. So that is quite important.
What kind of church was it? Just curious.
It was a small
it?
Baptist church, and it was in a rural setting. And majority of the church members were quite elderly, but the leadership was so mature, and my student was placed in that church as for their placement. So when they told me how they have navigated through this worship schedule change, I was very pleased. And I asked them, without naming the church, can I use them as a case study in some of my church leadership lectures? They were happy for that. So, but I really appreciated the fact that no one was rushed. They started with what everyone could come together and celebrate, which is the mission of God. They clearly told what was not changing, and then they spoke about what change needs to take place and why, and they listened to everyone.
Amazing story. What does it look like in practice to introduce change in a way that is safe for a congregation to process?
Excellent question, Dwight. I call them the 3 T's: truth, time, and trust. Now, we need to be truthful of why we need that change. And not what is changing, but why the change has to take place. Because we have noted that people are not resistant to change. They might be protecting something that they have gathered meaning from. So the why is very important. If leaders ignore the why of the change, then it may communicate that it's just the leader's preference dressed up as a vision.
Right.
So that's why being truthful, sometimes it's hard. It's not easy, but it is necessary so that the congregation can understand truthfully why this change is required.
Well, then your congregation, you are going to want them to own that vision, not just acknowledge it, but own it.
That is correct.
And that takes time.
It takes time. Yes, it takes time. And the second T is time. Time is basically not rushing people before they can emotionally let go of things.
Right.
Because it takes time. Changing something that I've given them meaning over the many years. It could be a worship service time. It could be a hymn. It could be a pattern of scripture reading, whether it's responsive or just someone else reading. All these make up one spirituality. So they're not necessarily resisting the change, but they are resisting the change that will wipe away what made them who they are.
Right.
And that takes time.
Definitely. And one thing I've noticed with pastoral leaders is sometimes we can, because we're thinking about it all the time, we think the congregants are thinking about it all the time, but they're going to work every day, have responsibilities at work, they go home, have responsibilities at home. And to find those moments and those hours to process, they have to fit that in between other responsibilities. And so it takes time.
It takes time.
Yeah.
And the last one, which is also very important, is trust. I call trust is the bridge that change walks across.
Right.
If we don't have that trust, change is very difficult. Now, when trust is thin, even great ideas might look suspicious. But if the trust is deep, even difficult ideas can be received with grace.
So leading change, if you're just coming as a new pastor in a church and you're there for the first month or two, it's not a good idea to be implementing change initially. You need to get in there and earn trust.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And trust, again, is built in the ordinary.
Yeah.
Trust is never built before a big decision needs to be made. Trust is built in ordinary times. For example, did the leader or the leadership return that call they said they would? Did they respond to that email? Did they, visit them when they were in grief? Did they do what they said they would do? Follow-up, it's what builds trust. And that credibility is built over time again. We are going back to time. So trust is so important that we can't expect people to come on board with us before that bridge is built. And that's why trust is built over time before the change is introduced.
Well, I don't know if you've ever heard the expression vision leaks. The idea that you have to repeat a vision over and over again. And really for that to sink in. And that's part of that time element I think you're talking about. And the building of trust. You need to approach it from a number of different ways to communicate a vision.
Yes, it takes multiple attempts to communicate that vision.
Yeah, people don't always receive information the same way.
No, they don't. They are different, which makes things complex. But again, with regards to this time and trust issue as well, to build trust, you need time. One image that sits with me is John chapter 10 of the Good Shepherd. And it says that the Good Shepherd, the sheep know the voice. That takes time. And when we are talking about church members, they are not just some people to be managed. They are to be shepherded.
Right.
So that knowing leadership takes time again. Because sheep will know who their leader is, and they would journey with the leader even if they don't get their own way, because they trust the leader.
Right.
So any change can be safely implemented with these 3 T's. At least I can think that we can add some more to that. But truth, time, and trust.
Oh, that's so very, very good. Where do leaders sometimes unintentionally create instability when they begin a change process?
Some big areas need to be highlighted. For example, the first area is when leaders underestimate the emotional weight of that change. And that is quite crucial.
That makes sense.
Because for a leader, changing a worship service could be a scheduling issue. But as you have mentioned, for a single mother, it could be the only time she could attend because of her work schedule.
Right.
And for a young person, it could be the one time they could attend worship time alongside all the other commitments their own friends have, whether it's like sports or others. So that would be affected. Or for a long-term volunteer who served in that capacity for like 10 years or 15 years, the question they would be thinking of is, do I still matter? Because if they change it, I can't attend this different time. So understanding the emotional weight of letting go is a very important area that leaders need to carefully understand, because we are dealing with people. It's not just a scheduling issue. So same decision, but very different stakes. So something that we need to be quite careful about. And something that you mentioned right at the beginning is worth repeating again. You said people need to carry on the vision. Whenever we bring out a change, leaders must think about the impact that change will have on people who have to carry it, or people who benefit from it, rather than just a technical or a mechanical issue. So whenever we are trying to introduce change, we need to understand how does that impact the people who would actually carry it or live through that. Quite important. The second area is, again, not speaking about the past with contempt. Again, it's worth mentioning again, memory can become idolatry, but memory can also become gratitude. We see in the Bible, Israel is called to remember many times the feasts, the festivals. They're remembering something. Even for us as Christians, we have the Lord's Supper as an act of remembrance, which is very important. So memory can be a great tool for gratitude, but sometimes memory can also become idolatry.
Well, I think sometimes what you have too is, as an individual, you've poured your life, like as a parishioner or someone in the church, you've poured your life into a given program or an element of the church. And, if it's going to change, you want to know what I contributed over the past X number of years was valued, like that there's value in my contribution, and it really isn't about the contribution, it really is about improving effectiveness.
Yes, I would like to say amen to that, because we should never say nothing here mattered, but we can carefully and pastorally say we can't stay here anymore, and here are the reasons why. And we acknowledge and thank God for the ways that we did different things. And that acknowledgement and not speaking about the past with contempt is quite important, because sometimes people find it very difficult. And I have an experience of this. I was trying to introduce Stuart Townend. Do you know Stuart Townend songs here in Canada?
Yes, yeah.
So I was trying to, he wrote these songs in the 90s. I was trying to introduce them probably in like 2010 or something like that. And generally the church did not receive that well. I was confused why. These are like contemporary songs, contemporary-ish, although they are like, 15 years old. But then I sat down and spoke with the organist. Now, the organist told me something I never read in a book or learned it at Bible school. And he said to me, he was like probably in his like 82 or 83. So he just looked at me and said, "Son," I was the minister, "Son, it's not that we don't want to sing these songs. There are many people who are quite elderly in the church. When we sing these hymns that they are familiar with, they relive their lives." So if you're introducing new songs, one, they don't know this song, they need to learn the song. Yes, they can learn the song, but also our church has some blind people. they are singing songs through memory.
Right.
So that completely changed my understanding of the resistance. They're actually not resisting the future. They're grieving something that they gave meaning to their lives.
Right.
And particularly, we had one blind lady. And what I did at that time, I'm talking about 2010 then, CDs were still a thing. These days, you don't have any player to play CDs anymore, but back then there were CDs.
Yeah.
So I got a new CD of these songs and I gave it to the lady and said, could you listen to these songs for me, please? And then she graciously accepted that and she loved it. She has a great memory. She memorized some of these songs. Rather than introducing them in the morning worship service, we introduced them in the evening worship service. And then people started talking about how wonderful these lyrics were. And then slowly we introduced them in the morning, just one song. So I always say, add before you subtract.
Yes.
So rather than removing the hymns, we just added an extra song. We are going to learn a new chorus today. And then people got on board. So everyone was happy. But it's that, not speaking about the past with contempt. My attitude was, if you keep singing these old songs, young people won't come, which could be true, but it's a terrible communication method. So I started speaking truthfully about the past. I mean, actually, I love hymns, but how we can introduce change by working with people rather than enforcing it on them. So, underestimating the emotional weight, to speaking about the past with contempt. And the third one is vague communication. Big changes are coming, might be exciting for some people on the leadership team. But for others, they fill the silence with fear.
Right.
Oh no, what's happening? What is changing? Will I be part of this new change? Again, not giving enough information, vague communication. So what people do when they fill the silence with fear is that conversations then slowly move to private texting.
Right.
They move to the car parks.
Right.
And it goes to even just silence, not engagement or apathy or something like that. So vague communication should be addressed. Clear communication. This is why we are changing. Now let's come and ask a different set of questions rather than here is change. And timing, tone, clarity, they all matter. And the list can carry on, but for me, that underestimating the emotional weight of the change, to speaking about the past with contempt, and vague communication can undermine the change that we are trying to bring.
Seidel, this is excellent information and so very helpful. And we need to carry this conversation on in an additional podcast. Right. We're just about out of time for today. And do you have just a couple of quick thoughts of closing thoughts of what you'd like to leave with people in terms of change?
In terms of change, definitely yes. The first thing that I want to say is never rush a change, because I have seen how it affected some congregations, particularly emotionally and some physically as well. And it felt like we cut off their life source supply from the community because of how the change was implemented. So please be patient, and please note that God is still in control. And this is His church. We are shepherds. We need to take care of the pastoral side of it as well as the administrative side of it as well. So we need to have a great balance, and that can only come through our dependence on God and in prayer and working collaboratively.
Such an important topic on leading change. Seidel, thank you, and we'll see you next time on The Healthy Christian Leader. Well, today's conversation was fantastic, but we're not finished yet. We'll be back in the next video with the same guest with more discussion about leader health. You know the drill. Subscribe and hit that bell. Would you join us for the next episode? You can find new episodes every week in video form on the Aaron Ministry YouTube page and in audio form as the Healthy Christian Leader Show wherever you get your podcasts. Aaron Ministries is an interdenominational network of friends in ministry with a mission to foster healthy Christian leaders. Check out our website, aaronministries.com, for more resources and information on how to donate or to start a healthy Christian leader gathering in your area. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.